How's it going?
Buddy.
Our meeting is officially called to order today. Welcome to the August 6th Health Club or HealthMasters Club meeting today. Do we have any opening comments? Anything that we need to discuss? How many of us were at the training Saturday? That's you. We actually had good training Saturday. I suggest if you get a chance to go to the makeup, I know you may not hold officer position, but just watching how certain things work, it can kind of let you know the direction our club needs to go in. And once you see clubs that are established a little bit and see how they operate, it'll be good information, I think, for all of us, not just officers. Anybody else have anything they need to add? We have some guests today. I see some new faces. Let's stand and introduce ourselves. I see you looking back and forth, but I was talking to you, yes. Just stand and tell us who you are.
I'm Tiffany.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And still a visitor, so you might as well stand. Thank you. I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to get a list started where I can get your names and email addresses so you can get some information and we can follow up with you.
We do have.
We do? Did everybody sign in back there?
Oh, is it back?
Make sure we get your information. Thanks for coming out. And we want you to feel at home today. You're among family today. I asked the members to send me quotes that mean something to them, and I like to open each week with one of the quotes, and Dana Hill sent me one for this week from Lance Armstrong, and it says, "You have to believe and you have to fight." And I guess if you know Lance Armstrong and what he's been through, you understand why his quote would be that. Okay, let's all stand together for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. I turn you over to our Toastmaster for today, Mr. Dave Rudney.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nathaniel. If you treat people as they are, they'll remain as they are. Could be. Famous German. No real reason to give you that quote other than the fact that I heard a quote there and I love quotes. And when you're Toastmaster, which you whatever the heck you want. And so, I have the opportunity to get this sticker. If you know the answer to this, Toastmasters, like Philip, you're excluded and why? Because you'll know the answer. But let's see. Let's just see. Well, you've been in it for a while now, but this is for the newer people. Now, this is an easy question. What is the name of the award you received? All right, James. All right, great job. And there's actually another treat coming later in the meeting. Healthy though. Well, maybe we should. We're health masters. That is healthy though. You go in the room though below. They have the pork rinds. You know, the katina. It's unbelievable. Right.
Yeah, you're right.
We are in the basement, Ruby. Let's hear our word of the day. Where's Penny? All right. And we're going to have some extemporaneous speaking today with our table topics. And try to use extemporaneous. Our word of the day, so the purpose of the word is to practice using it. Try to use it today. If you probably hear some applause or maybe some knuckling, which Philip likes to do in his other club. No stickers though, but there's some oats and honey coming up. What about the odd counter? Where's our odd? I was, just checking if he's paying attention. Now, let's move on to the speaking portion of our program. By the way, Nathaniel. Time is always running out. I'm in our meeting right now. Speaking for 7 minutes or speeches.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow health masters, and distinguished. Before I start, I'd like to say, if I'd known there were going to be so many. You have the time for a few minutes. I'd like to talk to you about time. Anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care? Bottle. What? There's a song that says, if you got the money, honey, I've got the time. We all share time. We all have 24 hours in a day. For some of us, that's a long time. And for some of us, all refer to time several times a day. Time to go, time to get up. Time just won't go by. Boy, that was fast. In our culture, we're very cognizant of time. Clocks. I'm looking at the wall. We have timers, calendars. Watch the clock when it's time to go home. Gripe about time. We're standing in line. Don't we gripe about time? Or when we're driving and we're stuck in traffic and it seems like it takes a long time to get home, we're griping about time. You know that time flies. Times when I'm having a good time, and y'all have a good time and time flies. One way that we do measure time, clock. Clock's real name was called a bell, and that would kind of explain the sound we have with an alarm clock or the school bell. It measures pieces of time. Ever heard of a timepiece? Time. We had water clocks and sundials. Those were the first kind of clocks. They were developed in 4000 BC. Before that, people used lunar months. Clocks were made to have springs. Sometimes they were by a pendulum or by actually winding the clock. Now we use batteries. The point is the clock has to stay wound up. Also use calendars. Ancient Mayans were the first developers of the calendar. They lived in Central America. The first calendar was actually from a human lab. That wasn't a long enough calendar. And so they started another calendar. It started in 3114 BC. $5,126 years. First, 2012. Whew, that doesn't give us much time. If the calendar runs out, so does time. There's plenty of time for you, all the things that you want to do, time that you have left. There are, after all, seconds, hours and days and weeks, months and years. So do you feel like you don't have enough time? Get more time. Buy it. How about more schedules? Lots of lists. All in. While we worry about all of this time, wasting time. How about we unwind? After all, know what time it is? How do you really care? I hope you haven't felt I've wasted your time because.
All right, thank you, Dana. Definitely not wasted my time. And I heard this quote. It said, have you ever heard this, that God invented time so that he was sure everything did not happen at once? Also another point about time, that best question about time management, make sure let's move on to our next speaker. With our next speaker, what you see is what you get. Crazy, fun-loving. Make a song of anything. But she claims she can't sing a lick. You know, she's been with the health department for over 30 years and 20. The rest of the time, I guess that's about 4 years, she's been with Connect. Want me to tell you that she is looking forward to retirement, that she's crazy. Seven minutes. Her speech is titled, What's in a Dream? Please welcome Toastmaster Ruby Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. My fellow Toastmaster friends and guests, and our Toastmaster president. Say, what's in a dream? I did not know the man, but he came in our home with a big black book. He sat down and he talked with Mama for a while, and then she called all of us into the living room, my sisters and brothers, and introduced us to the man that brought the big black. It was our pawpaw that we had never met, Mama's daddy. I had to be about 8 years old. Nothing fancy about him. What I remember was he was about as dark as the book. He didn't say much, and he finally left. The big black book sat on the coffee table for a long time. Then one day, I decided to look in it and found that it was a book filled with stories of people from the Bible. It had large print. It was easy reading, and the pictures were beautiful. It was a Bible story book. I started reading the book and fell in love with it. The Bible had many dreamers and dreams interpreters, but my favorite was Joseph the dreamer. He had a dream about 11 stars and the sun and the moon bowed down, and he did reverence him. Genesis 37:9. This was interpreted that his father and mother and his 11 brothers would bow down to him, and that dream came true. The dream did not come to pass overnight, but through the years and through trials and tribulation. I felt like Joseph because I dreamed a lot. I would have this one dream all the time. It was a white man chasing me, and I would be running through the woods. I would wake up and see his face and those big old eyes. Then his face would appear in the window in the living room. I would have the dream all the time, and then I would wake up. I never told anyone about the dream because it was just a dream. Then one summer day after Mama, my big mama, and I had come back from shopping, we went to my big mama's house first. And at that time, Mama and Big Mama kept talking. So I kept telling Mama that I was ready to go. And she kept ignoring me. So I decided to walk home by myself. We only lived a block apart, and we traveled up and down the alley to get from one house to the next all the time. So I started walking home, and all of a sudden, I heard this noise coming down the street. It went boom, boom, boom. When I turned around, it was a little blue car, later known as a Volkswagen Beetle. I had made it to Mr. Dora's house when I turned around, and what did I see? That white man with those big old eyes. Those same eyes that I had been seeing in my dream. You have to understand the time period in which we live. The only time you would see a white man in the neighborhood, he had to be the milkman, the tax man, or the insurance man. And he was none of the above. He looked up at me and I looked at him, and I knew I was in trouble. I took off running. A chubby child I was, so I couldn't get far. But I made it to our garage that's set apart from the house. I would have you to understand that our house was right next door to Mr. Doyle's house, but I knew I could not make it to my back door. So I hid behind the garage, scared to death. And all of a sudden, here come that little blue car that went boom, boom, boom. He was coming from the top of the alley. He was coming to get me. I pressed myself up against the garage so he could not see me, and then the sound of the boom, 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 very slow. I peeked out from around the garage to see where he was, and he was passing the garage looking around. He was looking for me. I stayed very quiet, and finally he was at the end of the alley, and he pulled back onto the street and left. I ran as fast as I could, out of breath, banging on the back door to my sisters and brothers to let me in. I told them what had happened, and of course we called Mama and Big Mama, and they fussed at me because I had been disobedient. But God saved my life, allowed me to read about Joseph and understanding that dreams do come true, whether they are good or bad. I still remember those eyes to this day. Papa was never around, but he gave me a life treasure, the Bible. Papa only came back to the house one other time, and then he died. But the big black book taught me about my God, my dreams, and the trials and tribulations of life. I still dream often, and I take heed to every dream because dreams do come true. How do I know? Because my marriage is based on a dream. 10 years and counting, that's another story. So I ask you, what's in your dream? Take heed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruby. Passionate speech. Look forward to hearing. Good. Crunchy. All you have to do to receive this. What year was Toastmasters founded? Person that gets it right. Want this? 1953?
Yeah.
No? Not 1953. It's earlier than 1953. Oh. 1924, all right. Got it. Looked it up. Oh, he got his BlackBerry. And actually, Tony, now this is a great transition. Why don't you give us the joke?
All right, I have a couple of jokes, but I'm only going to tell one. Let's see which one will I tell. Did you hear the story about the husband that complained about his wife every morning? So she fixed scrambled eggs, he wanted poached. Scrambled them? No, she poached them, he wanted scrambled. So she decided to get smart. She scrambled the wrong one.
Thank you, Tony. How about we do some extemporaneous speaking? James, you like that? James likes it. How about we have Lisa Wooten come up and give us table topics for today?
Opportunity to be your all the coverage and excitement that was going. I started running about a year and a half ago. 5K in March. Last night I was watching the men's 400. I was so inspired by South American Oscar. Bilateral amputee. Imagine the odds he had. What is your favorite winter? What game or sport do you
Oh, that's it. All right. I was trying to figure this out here. For some reason, we got to get a normal timing device because this is just normal timing device somehow. Have like the lights that will come on. We're trying to time each of these events. Evaluations, which you're going to hear in a second. Traffic light, we can bring it. However, it's my pleasure. Evaluator who will be leading the evaluation portion of our program. Welcome, Philip Borden.
Afraid that part of this is my fault because
Oh, it is good.
I had planned to get up here and comment on how smoothly the meeting has gone so far, and I wrote that sentence down in my notes. So it's probably my fault that this
Oh,
happened.
it is coming up.
Right, you click on, so you're ready now to start. But don't time me, whatever you do. We have had two great speeches today. Did you notice that they were both speech number 2, organize your speech. If you want to think about what the basic challenge is of speech number 2, if you could reduce it to one question, it's can you organize what you want to say? You can speak about anything. Can you put some big picture organization to what you have to say? In future speeches, we'll work on details within that, like how to say what you want to say, and gestures, and how to speak persuasively. But for now, can you organize what you want to say? And I think in both of our speeches, we could see that they definitely flowed from beginning to end. I was totally engrossed in what both speakers had to say. I wasn't thinking about transitions from one point to the next because it kept me interested the whole time. And I think this meeting so far has been a meeting where things have flowed well from beginning to this point, and the transitions have happened naturally. That doesn't always happen in every meeting that you attend, does it? It takes a lot of preparation. It takes a lot of people knowing their individual roles, practicing it, working on it, so that when we pull it all together, it's all ready to come together and be smooth. Are going to hear from our two speech evaluators next. First, we have Nathaniel Noble here to evaluate Dana Hill's speech number 1. Would you welcome Nathaniel?
I'm evaluating Dana Hill. What time is it? Excellent title, I thought. She makes it hard on me because you are listening to a speech, but you still have to keep in mind that you want to add something. Okay, what can I say to improve? And that's the hardest part when somebody, point to point, she flowed well. If I had to find anything, if I had to just pick out something, what I would say, I could see her notes, and I know she didn't have that many words on it. And for her to pause and look down at the notes, I know it's more out of nervousness than not knowing what was coming next. And that would be my advice to you. You know your material, and you didn't need that crutch, but you kind of used it when you didn't really need it. And that's not really a knock. It's just that you were nervous when you were that prepared, and there was no need to be nervous. You did a really good job. I understood. Only question I did have was I was wondering what would make her choose this topic. And I thought maybe at some point you'd say, I've always wondered about time, or time has been interesting to me because of. I liked your sentence, if I could put time in a bottle, what would I do with it? And that title is a paper within itself, and it just kind of set me thinking, as much as we say we could want to control time, what will we actually do with it? And for her to know the history of clocks and Mayans and all the different things with that, I thought it was very good, very interesting speech. And you did, like Philip said, you held our attention from the beginning to end, which is what a good speech does. And I was very impressive, very impressive. Good. And I can tell the growth between your first speech and the second speech already. Great job.
Thank you. And next we will hear from Tanisha Richardson, coming forward to evaluate speaker number 2, Ruby Brown's speech. Let's welcome Tanisha.
Hi. I am here to evaluate Ruby Brown. Her speech was "What's in a Dream." I thought that she was very passionate. I felt the passion in the dream. The speech value was very interesting. She seemed very prepared. The information was very meaningful to the audience. She was organized. The opening was very captivating, and her conclusion was very effective. And she kept our interest throughout the entire speech. The only thing that I would encourage her to do differently was to not to rely so much on your notes, have more eye contact with the audience, and also watch your TH words, like then instead of then, say, really pronounce, your TH words. And also, the ending, as I mentioned, it was very good. What's in your dream? Take heed. I thought that was an excellent conclusion sentence. So that's all that I have.
Thank you. Good job by two speech evaluators to be able to get up and speak extemporaneously on what they heard in the meeting. It's one thing for a scheduled speaker to prepare a speech and show up. You know pretty much what you want to say and what you don't want to say, and the only goal from there is to try to dodge getting called on for table topics. But if you're a speech evaluator, you aren't sure what you're going to be getting up and saying until you actually hear the speech and put your notes together, so good job on those. Up next is our grammarian's report. Penny Summers will come and tell us how we did in that category and also in use of word of the day. Penny.
The word of today was extemporaneous. I'm nervous today. It was used 5 times. Did a great job. The thing I loved about the speeches was the use of very descriptive words. Like, if you could put time in a bottle, time flies, a timepiece, an elderly man with a big black book, a noise coming down the road, bump, 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 like that. It was a life treasure, very captivating. So the thing I loved today most was the very descriptive words. Made the speeches very interesting.
And speaking of time, do you know that there are really 2 goals in Toastmasters? Not just to do something, but to do something within a specific window of time. Not just to give a speech, but to give that speech within the limits of time. Not just to evaluate or any of the other things that we do, giving reports or any of those things, but to do it within a given constraint of time that you are given. And sometimes that's definitely a main challenge in itself. We are going to hear next how we did on time. Majida is going to give us our timers report.
And our grammarian, I took 1 minute.
Point about time because, actually, great job. Just wanted to say, if your speech is 7 minutes, wrap it up. Try to wrap it up. That's the way. Well, even if you do. Don't worry about anything if you go under or over, but still. Inner Toastmasters, some of the speeches.
The 10th, which is 8 to 10 minutes. I think.
Just a little update on time. We'll return control. There's one right answer to that, but I think it's all over the map. I think in Toastmasters you find that people spend their whole lives on something like Ruby. A lot of information that she took out.
And there's a little nugget or a quote or something that you may have heard. I won't get this exactly right because I haven't practiced it, but it goes something like, if you want me to speak for 5 minutes, I'll need a couple of weeks to prepare for that. If you want me to speak for 30 minutes, I'll need a day to prepare. If you want me to speak for 2 hours, I'm ready now. I'll just ramble my way through it. The preparation, the figuring out what to say and how to say it within time constraints is what takes a lot of work. We also we haven't used it, but if you notice on there's a box that you can click on that says flash on disqualification. I think it says red 30 seconds. So for example, for a 7-minute speech, I think when it gets to 7 minutes, you'd see the red light. When it gets to 7 minutes and 30 seconds, the red light would start to flash to get the speaker's attention, wrap up on that sentence as soon as you possibly can and sit down. Without further comments, I am going to turn the meeting back over to our club president, to our club president, Nathaniel Noble.
Great meeting today, great meeting. Closing remarks, I'm going to let our guests speak a little bit as well. I think a benefit that a lot of us probably didn't assume we were going to get with this, that we are, is the whole multiculturalism. I found out things just from Dee's speech last week. I know something that's on the East Bank now. Even with Ruby talking today, there's things within our own cultures, if you're born in different time periods, that you learn now. And I think that's an added gem for us to understand that we'll learn much more about people that we wouldn't know if we weren't in Toastmasters, because their speeches are going to be according to their cultures a lot, and I think that's a good thing. I'm going to give a chance for our guests to say anything if they'd like to. Put them on the spot. Okay. Thank you, thank you. That's every week.
Every Monday, I mean.
Thank you. Good job, good job. Would you like to say anything this week? Great, okay. Is there any club business we need to discuss? Everybody has their manuals and... Say again? You can go. Okay, you can go. All right.
I know next week, we have,
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Okay, right.
oh, knows that.
Mhm.
I was an area governor, or you go to different clubs, and you sort of, person that's coming in, Monica Hooper.
I may have, I know she sent me an email saying she was coming by.
All right, so
Yep.
we're all gonna meet her next week, have a forum to evaluate us. And I know one of the things they evaluate us on is how we greet our guests. Are we being friendly? Actually, the Sergeant at Arms is normally Xavier, but we didn't have Xavier. A lot of times, the Sergeant at Arms, which is Xavier's role,
Maybe he's ready for the 1 o'clock.
ready for the 1 o'clock. Okay. Well, we wanted to call you up here to give us speech. We're going to evaluate you. Postmaster's here today, but anyway, so next week you'll meet our area governor, and she'll be sharing.
On that list, Barbara, is there anything that stuck out that you want to bring out today? Any?
No.
Okay. It's just a checklist of what she's going to be looking for out of us. So, and we're a new club, but there's still guidelines they want us to follow as well. And like I said, we learned a lot of that this weekend at the meeting. And once again, I would encourage you to try to make the makeup day. What's the makeup day, Philip or David? We'll send out an email again about if you were interested in making the makeup. Also, Wanda Stan, she's our new secretary. I forgot that earlier. Huh? Yeah, we might want to have notes from now on, minutes, something along those lines. Look official. Go ahead. Okay. Is there anything else?
Well, I just want to mention, we got a website that I'm working on. Barbara, you know, I like the website, just to let you know, it's going to come out in HealthMaster. I just want to let you know, and the good news about the website is when it's out. Oh, actually felt wrong.
Great job. Great job. On your agenda, if you flip to the second page, you have the roles for next week's meeting, the August 13th meeting. See if you're on there anywhere. And if you are down for a role and you know you can't make it next week, make sure you send us an email so we can make the appropriate changes. I'm sure it's rough as a Toastmaster to try to move around and try to find somebody to fill in if they don't find out till that day. So if you already know ahead of time, go ahead and let somebody know. Lisa Wooten will be our Toastmaster for next week. So lucky Lisa. Is there anything else? Our meeting is You call me mid-gavel. Go ahead. Yes, Barbara. Way to go! 20 more years too, right? Wow. Our meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job. No, I was confused about that. That's a little confusing.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I need to put James in.